Welcome everybody to the live stream. Just making sure that this stream is getting out to you guys. Welcome. Let's go ahead and get into this video.
Plan and get rid of DEI and ESG in your companies? BlackRock really is the opposite of...
This is BlackRock getting ambushed. I'm just going to wait for more people to join the stream. If you guys can hear me, just go ahead and type 1 in the chat. Just waiting for everyone to join before we get into this. So BlackRock CEO Larry Fink's getting confronted. We've got Trump finds out the letter that came from Biden. G'day, welcome. Welcome, Mr. Broom, Betty, Warren, Papa, Keith, Craig. Okay, YouTube must be playing games with me because it literally said 0 viewers. I was like, this is very unusual. But maybe because of the topics we're going to get into, YouTube won't really like it. Welcome, Don, Craig, Neo Mortal Girl, welcome. Welcome, Keith. We'll just give it a couple of minutes before we really get into it and let everyone join here. Just please go ahead and like the stream. I can see you guys are doing that. Thanks for that. But yes, in this stream, we're going to be going over the World Economic Forum, what's happening in Davos, Trump destroying the World Economic Forum to their face. Rebel News went and found Larry Fink, that's the CEO and the head of BlackRock, and gave him a grilling. It was very interesting to see what he did to them after they confronted him. And we'll go over those executive orders where Trump has declassified the JFK files. Yep, that's right. We normally should have about 30 to 60, but I guess I don't normally stream at this time, but this news was so important. I didn't want to wait till tonight or tomorrow to report on it. I wanted to get it out as soon as I can, where Trump grills the World Economic Forum to their face. I'll just go ahead and bring some things up here. Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and get into it, everyone. This is Larry Fink being confronted by Rebel News at Davos.
Of Donald Trump in so many ways. You're authoritarian, you're anti-populist, you're top-down. Are you going to change it all in light of the U.S. presidency?
So this is the CEO of BlackRock here, and he doesn't want a bar of it.
How is Donald Trump? Have you talked to Donald Trump since he...
And this guy here and this guy here is his security guards.
Was elected. Is the World Economic Forum a counterpoint to Donald Trump?
We'll find out in a moment with his speech.
Why are you
I'm going to be reacting to it live. I haven't watched it myself, so we can watch it together.
Running away from simple questions. Just answer a question. Have you talked to President Trump yet? Why are your bodyguards pushing away journalists, Mr. Fink?
They're simple questions. Is it that hard to answer a question that you need bodyguards and to swerve through traffic? Is the next 4 years going to be bad for business with Donald Trump in charge? Is peace the...
Yeah, it's pretty funny. These guys don't hold back. And wait till you see what the BlackRock Larry Fink does, and it's quite interesting.
Last thing you want on this world?
Which makes more money for you, war in Ukraine or peace in Ukraine?
Look at this. He takes a photo of the journalist here, and I think they get paid a visit by the police. And also, it's a kind of a threat. And I hope these guys don't all of a sudden fall down some stairs or don't stand any close to any windows. They might have an accident.
Ezra Levant's my name, Mr. Fink.
Did you just take a photo of you?
Am I supposed to be scared? Is that a threat, Mr. Fink?
I think it is.
Are you used to bullying your way through life?
No.
Is that how you've lived your entire life without having... Look at this.
You're not a fan of Harvey as well. He can be a bit of annoying, but they do a good job here on giving it to Larry Fink.
Don't push back, mate. Don't push me, bro. Don't push me.
When was the last time you answered a question that you didn't know was coming? Why are you so unaccountable? Isn't that what you love about the World Economic Forum? You control everything.
Why do you think you deserve so much power?
He's about to take another photo. Now he's getting Harvey. But a little respect to him. These guys don't hold back. They give him their name. But you can see he's definitely a threat. He's going to call his local goons, probably pay the police or pay him a visit.
Hey, Harvey Yemeni, should I be scared now?
Which of your former directors do you want to run Canada? Mark Carney or Chrystia Freeland?
For all those
Push me,
joining,
bro.
this is Larry Fink, the CEO of
What?
BlackRock, getting ambushed
What are
at
you getting
Davos.
violent for, man? I could push just like you can, mate.
And his security's not happy with it
Look
at
at
all.
these thugs. They fund wars around the world and then you question them. They try not only to intimidate you, but physically assault you.
Yeah, he's
What's with
obviously
taking
baiting him a fair
photos of
bit.
journalists who ask you prickly questions?
Who's more powerful, you or President Trump?
So that's that clip. Thought that was just pretty funny. But let's go into this next clip where Peter Doocy reveals text of Biden's letter to Trump.
A pretty historic one at that. This is a Fox News alert, and a pretty historic one at that. President Trump has revealed the context of the letter that former President Biden left to him. This is a Fox News exclusive, and let me put this into perspective. There have only been 7 presidents that left a letter to their predecessors, 6 who left a letter to the opposite political party. And Biden was just the 3rd to have to pen a letter to someone who was a political opponent, in this case, a former political opponent. This is history, and we at Fox News have the content of this letter.
Okay, let's see.
Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany here with my co-host, Harris Faulkner. Also joining us, Cheryl Casoni, Fox Business anchor and host of American Dream Home on Fox Business. Jerry Willis, Fox Business
Just tell us
correspondent.
what's in the letter.
And Kayleigh, we saw the other night on Monday, just a few minutes after President Trump returned to the Oval Office, I asked him if the president left him a letter. He hadn't checked yet. He opened up the drawer. We were only able to see the outside of the envelope that said 47. We can report now, for the first time anywhere in the world, this history-making text
I'm reacting to this live as well, guys. I haven't seen this, so we're finding out together.
of what it said on the inside. The letterhead was of Joseph R. Biden Jr. It said President of the United States. And his cursive handwriting that I reviewed was difficult to read at times, but this is what I got from the letter. Let's read it together. Dear President Trump, as I take leave of this sacred office, I wish you and your family all the best in the next 4 years. The American people and people around the world look to this House for steadiness in the inevitable storms of history. And my prayer is that in the coming years will be a time of prosperity, peace, and grace for our nation. May God bless you and guide you as he has
Didn't seem to mention God much in his presidency, but now he is.
blessed and guided our beloved country since our founding. Joe Biden, 1/2025. And that is it. I got a call that
Okay, that's a bit disappointing. Pretty typical thing for a politician to say. Wishing him all the best.
President Trump was ready to share the contents of the letter. We heard him last night describe it as inspirational. And that is, we can confirm the president's assessment. All right. It is an inspirational, forward-looking well-wish, and quite possibly the only time that they will exchange letters ever again. Kayleigh?
Peter, so I'm interested to know, was that the entirety of the letter? I'm looking right now on my phone at images of past letters, and they tend to be a little longer, 3, sometimes 4 paragraphs.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds very, very short. He probably didn't even write it.
paragraphs going into detail. That's a very gracious letter that Biden left, but was that the entirety of it?
That was the entirety of the letter, yes. Handwritten by President Biden on his personal stationery, just one side of one page.
Okay, if you did handwrite it, then maybe you had to take a nap after a couple of sentences. Or you saw some ice cream trucks.
Another question for you. This comes, and I think this is important context for our viewers. He penned this letter, and I'm wondering if you know the timeline of Biden penning this letter. As I understand, it was on the day of the inauguration. So he pens this letter, and he rides off with President Trump, and then he pardons members of his family in a way in which President Trump would have found out about it in the aftermath of his speech. So it's a gracious letter, but it comes on the heels of maybe an acrimonious decision intended to be shielded from the current president.
And I don't know the exact timeline, but to your point, it's possible that he used the same pen to sign the pardons and then write this note to President Trump.
Wow, Peter, thank you very much. That is history that you just made. Very interesting.
It is history, yep.
Awesome. Okay, so that's the letter revealed from that. Bit of a disappointment. But let's get into these executive orders where Trump declassified the RFK, JFK, and MLK files. And I'm very excited to see what comes of this. So let's go ahead and get into this clip.
Okay, very good. We've signed some executive orders. They were very important in just about every case.
Craig reckons Biden couldn't tie his own shoelace. That's probably true.
And it will go through the first one, please.
Do you want to? Yeah, Mr. President, this is an executive order on crypto. We're going to be. Oh, sorry, we're doing AI first. Sorry, Mr. President, this is an executive order on AI.
Okay, this is an executive order on artificial intelligence.
We're basically announcing the administration's policy to make America the world capital in artificial intelligence and to dominate and to lead the world in AI.
Do you want to say your name, your full name?
David
and
Sachs,
serial?
AI and Crypto Czar.
David is one of the greatest in the world at AI. Most respected, probably, there is. So that should take us to the forefront, right?
Absolutely. We got him in.
So Trump and his team wants to become the world center for artificial intelligence. There's going to be a lot of money in it. Obviously, a lot of people worried, concerned, myself included, on what the impacts of artificial intelligence is going to be. But definitely the US is going to want to be there first because artificial intelligence is moving so quick. If they get left behind, it's all going to be over from China.
Okay. Thank you. And this, David, is?
Yeah, this is the crypto EO. We're going to be forming an internal working group to make America the world capital in crypto under your leadership.
So this is a crypto executive order. I went over this in a video on my main channel where they want to create a task force to work on regulations with cryptocurrency. There's a more crypto-friendly SEC chairman coming, and there's potentially going to be a crypto reserve where instead of selling off the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency that they seize, Trump wants to hold them. But we still have to see if that comes to fruition. It still hasn't passed yet.
Which is really going up, right?
Absolutely.
Craig, it's all about control of the people. Neo, we need our own brains. Yeah, well, what's that? Elon Musk working on Neuralink soon. Who knows? If you want to get a job in one of the top positions in corporate America, you're going to need Neuralink. It'll be hard to keep up. You're going to have to be competing against people that got the Neuralink software update.
All right, David, that's for you. Thanks.
Welcome to the stream, Blue Ghost.
You find them exciting? They might not be exciting, but we're going to make a lot of money for the country.
Lots of money, billions and billions.
And so is David. You have to check him out. There's nobody like this guy. They said, how did you get David Sachs? How did you do that? And he's doing it for the country more than anything else. So we appreciate it, David. Thank you very much.
I hope so. I hope so. It's not doing it to enrich
Executive
himself.
order establishing a presidential commission, an advisory commission on science and technology.
Good.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Science and technology. With this David Sachs guy, hope he doesn't go ahead and launch a
Do you want to
beam
explain
point.
that a little bit?
The basic idea is to get together top people from government, the private sector, technology industry, as well as educational institutions, to make sure that America maintains its leadership position with respect to science and technology development in the years ahead.
Good. That's great.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum encouraging departments and agencies in your government, including the Department of the Interior, to promote federal recognition of the Lumbee tribe of North Carolina.
I love the Lumbee tribe. So this is their first big step, right?
This would be a huge step for them, sir.
Yeah, they were with me all the way. They were great. North Carolina, Lumbee tribe.
Okay. They also need to give more assistance to North Carolina. It's all going to LA, but they kind of forgot about the people in North Carolina.
Okay, you'll send them a copy of that?
Yes, sir.
They were great. Okay,
And if you'd like, I could get them that pen, sir, as well.
yeah, let's do that.
Next, we have a set of pardons for peaceful pro-life protesters who were prosecuted by the Biden administration for...
Wow. Pardons for pro-life protesters. It's crazy how many political prisoners got locked up under the Biden administration. And you're seeing it even worse in the UK, where you post something negative against immigration or post a meme, you literally get the police knocking on your door and locking you up. They're releasing the worst criminals to put people that criticize Starmer in prison. It's crazy.
exercising their First Amendment rights.
Do you know how many?
I believe it's 23, sir.
23, wow.
23 people were prosecuted. They should not have been prosecuted. Many of them are elderly people. They should not have been prosecuted.
Yeah, I agree.
This is a great honor to
What do you
sign
guys
this.
think? And Trump's been busy.
They'll be very happy.
First
So they're
3
all in
days, he's done
prison
more
now.
than Biden did in 4
Some
years.
some are out of custody.
It's ridiculous. Okay?
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the
Oh, here we go. I think this is the one where it's declassified RFK, JFK files and MLK.
assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, what do you think is going to come out of this, guys? Who do you think's going to be behind it all?
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed.
Oh, everything will be revealed. Okay, let's see. He's got to back
Okay.
up what he says, but so far he's been doing it.
Give that to RFK Jr.
Yes, sir.
That's nice. And did you see? He's declassifying the JFK files, and he's giving the pen that he used for the executive order to RFK Jr.
Okay? Okay, thank you very
Mr.
much.
President, a U.S. judge temporarily blocks the birthright citizenship order. Do you have any reaction?
No, obviously we'll appeal it. They put it before a certain judge in Seattle, I guess, right? And there's no surprises with that judge.
Mr. President, Senators Collins and Murkowski have now said they will vote against Pete Hegseth. Are you worried about his confirmation and your reaction?
And no surprises there. It's too bad, you know. It's just the way it is. Too bad.
And when would you adjourn Congress to make recess appointments, Mr. President?
Well, I'd take a look at that. I'd listen to John Thune. He's doing a fantastic job. We're moving along. The Democrats are trying to delay government, as they always do. They can't help themselves. Even John Ratcliffe, who's very, very strong, very popular, and liked by the Democrats. I guess he gets a lot of Democrat votes. That's taking a long time, and it shouldn't be taking a long time. They're maxing everything out so they can delay everything as much as possible.
Does Senator Finn support an effort to use recess appointments if you choose to do that?
I'd be willing to use recess appointments. It's up to John. We'll see. John Thune's a great guy, great senator, knows his stuff inside out and backwards, but I would use recess appointments if he wants to do that. Absolutely. The Democrats are just delaying. They always delay.
Mr. President, you spoke with the Saudi Crown Prince yesterday.
Who?
The Saudi Crown Prince.
Yes.
How was the call?
Great.
And they said $600 billion they're going to invest.
600. I'll ask him for $1 trillion.
You said you're going to ask for $1 trillion. Will Saudi Arabia be the first foreign country you will visit since they invest in that much?
Well, if they do that, I would, yeah. I would be glad to do that. I did it, as you know, 4 years ago. We did $450 billion, meaning the money all goes to American companies, and they purchase jets and they purchase computers and everything else. And we did $450 billion, and I guess we're at 650. And I'll see if I can talk him into
I don't
it.
think it is again. You showed great confidence in Steve Witkoff. Why you said that you doubt that the ceasefire in Gaza will hold, since you appraised his
Well, no, I think he's great,
efforts?
but it's a very tricky place. It's very tricky. And we'll see. And if something does happen, they will not be happy.
Sir, follow up on that one. In terms of Steve Witkoff, are you going to put him in charge of Iran's strategy, and do you want him talking directly with the Iranians?
No, but he's certainly somebody I would use. He's done a fantastic job. He's a great negotiator. He's a very good person, a very popular person. Gets along with people. I have great negotiators. They have no personality whatsoever, and then I have some that do. Steve has a wonderful way about him, and people like him, and even in this case, both sides like him. And he was able to make a deal. That deal would have never been made without Steve. The Biden people couldn't make the deal. They were working on it for a year and a half. They couldn't make a deal. We got it done prior to the inauguration.
That's right. He is getting a lot done, which is great to see.
We said it has to be before the inauguration. I mean, the deal should hold, but if it doesn't hold, there'll be a lot of problems.
Related to your AI, EO, just hours after you made that big Stargate announcement, Elon Musk tweeted that they don't actually have the money. Is that true?
Wow, okay, big drama here. And I thought it was very unusual that Elon Musk, who's meant to be supporting Donald Trump, called out this Stargate AI. Maybe it's because he's trying to create AI and they're going to be competing with him. I know he doesn't like Sam Altman at OpenAI, so maybe that's why he criticized it as well.
I don't know if they do, but they're putting up the money. The government's not putting up anything. They're putting up money. Good. They're very rich people, so I hope they do. And, I mean, Elon doesn't like one of those people. So
that's what I was talking about, Sam Altman.
Are you worried that AI is going to replace many American jobs? Does that worry you?
No. It's going to create tremendous numbers of jobs. It's going to also create a lot of benefits medically for cancer research and other things. It's going to have a huge positive impact. And, we want to be ahead of China. We're right now way ahead of China.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think AI will create more jobs than it destroys? It's going to be very, very interesting to see how it plays out.
David Sachs is one of the all-time experts. The people are amazed that you just met him. I don't know if he's still here. There he is. But one of the most respected people in that world. It's a world. It's a whole different world. And we're ahead of China now because of what I'm doing. And I think it's going to be very successful.
Mr. President, please, you just asked the Davos Forum again that NATO countries should spend 5% of GDP on defense.
Yeah.
The United States don't spend 5%.
Well,
Do you think it should also apply to the United States?
We're protecting them, They're not protecting us, we're protecting them. So I don't think we should be spending, I'm not sure we should be spending anything, but we should certainly be helping them. But they should up their 2% to 5%, yeah.
That's right.
Mr. President, you said earlier.
AI is just creating more junk. AI augmented information. Some people are saying in the chat.
During your speech at Davos that you would like to see interest rates come down. How
Yeah.
much would you like to see them come down?
A
And
lot.
will you talk
I'd
with
like to
Powell?
see them come down a lot,
Yes.
and oil prices will come down. And when oil prices come down, everything's going to be cheaper for the American people and actually for the world, but for the American people. So I'd like to see oil prices come down. And when the energy comes down, that's going to knock out a lot of the inflation. That's going to automatically bring the interest rates down.
Are you worried that
Well, that's true. If he can get oil prices down, that makes energy cheap for businesses. Maybe it can bring inflation down, but it also runs the risk with tariffs plus interest rate cuts. We saw him pressuring the Fed that they should drop interest rates. It does run the risk of reigniting inflation, but if he can manage the economy well, he may just be able to pull off the impossible.
You said that you would demand. Are you worried that there's too much going on at once if you're trying to bring interest rates down, get the economy back going?
It just works that way. I mean, it just economically works that way. When the oil comes down, it'll bring down prices. Then you won't have inflation, and then the interest rates will come down.
You said that.
And just to be clear, it's not going. The prices won't get cheaper. Gas may get cheaper, but consumer goods or businesses won't get cheaper. What will happen is just prices won't go up as quick as they've been going up now. Terry thinks they are in the wrong hands will be so destructive. The JADE program in the USA has been used for years already. Yes, that's right. If it's in the wrong hands, it would be. So we've got to make sure there's regulation and it's in the right hands.
You would demand that the interest rates come down.
Well, I would put in a strong statement.
Do you expect the Fed to listen to you?
Yeah.
Are you going to talk to Powell about this
Yeah.
and bringing the rates down?
At the right time, I would.
Sir, do you any of the people you pardoned that were participated in the January 6, 2021 attack? Do you plan to meet with any of them or meet with them at the White House?
I don't know. I'm sure that they probably would like to. I did them something important, but what they did is they were protesting a crooked election. You know, I mean, people understand that also, and they were treated very badly. Nobody's been treated like that, so I'd be open to it certainly. I don't know of anything like that, but I think they're going to meet in some of the congressmen, women want to meet. But I'd certainly be open to it.
Have you spoken to them since you issued the pardons?
I haven't spoken to any of them yet, but I know they're very happy.
Yes, they would
I
be.
gave them their life back. Their life was taken away from them unnecessarily and unfair.
It was so insane that they were locked up for so long, yet, you know, other people doing much worse crimes, whether they did something, you know, whether they assaulted someone or did damage or not, yes, they should be tried if they actually did commit a crime, but they were going to be locked up for 25 years, much, much longer than they deserve. And again, people were doing much worse and getting much less time. So we need to stop the politicization of the justice system.
I gave them their life back, so I can imagine they probably would like to.
Mr. President, what did you mean when you said that Biden took bad advice and not pardoning himself yesterday?
Well, he did. I think he did, because he pardoned all these people that are crooked as hell. Look, the congressmen, they're crooked. What they did is they destroyed evidence. When you destroy evidence, especially criminally like that, they did it criminally. And the reason they destroyed the evidence is because it proved that I was right. They didn't destroy evidence for no reason. They destroyed it because they found many documents saying that I offered 10,000 soldiers. If they had 500 soldiers or National Guard, there would have been no problem. If they had 200, that would have been. I offered 10,000 if they needed them. There would have been no problem. That's been now totally disproven. And it's also been disproven by Nancy Pelosi's daughter, who has her on tape saying it was her fault, that she has full responsibility for this. And they have all that stuff. They destroyed everything. And they go through.
It's going to be so interesting to see all the truth come out over the next 6 months.
Through a year and a half, 2 years of nonsense, they come up with tremendous evidence, and they destroyed evidence. And Schiff knew about it. That's why he's on there. He knew all about the destruction of evidence. A lot of people said he's the one that got him to do it. And he's a crooked guy, you know, totally crooked politician. And so he's pardoned, and some other people are pardoned. And these are crooked politicians, every one of them. Benny Johnson, what he did is incredible. I mean, he was the leader of the committee.
It's funny he mentioned Benny Johnson, but Benny Johnson's actually a big YouTuber, actually a big political YouTuber. I think he was meant to say Benny Thompson. So he mentioned Benny Johnson, called him corrupt and stuff. and he's the YouTuber that's got, I think, about 3 million subs and supports Trump, but he actually uploaded a video saying, whoops, Trump actually accidentally called me out.
And he did it. Cheney.
Speaker, yes, we do. It's going to be very, very entertaining 4 years. Lots of content.
Crying Adam Kinzinger, all of them. They destroyed evidence and deleted everything. There's nothing. There's no evidence now. They're crooked politicians, and they should be punished. You know, that's even in a civil trial, you go to jail for a thing like that.
Yep.
They destroyed every document, from what I understand, every document, because it proved that I was totally innocent.
Do you plan to send up to 10,000 troops to the southern border, sir?
Yeah. Oh, southern border?
Yes,
When you say southern border, when I said 10,000 troops, I was referring to the capital.
Oh, I see. And
Yes.
when does that, when do you plan,
He offered troops.
I offered 10,000.
He offered troops and everything. They didn't take it. And we saw the clips, the footage of the police officers and the Capitol Police letting them through the door.
Troops to the Capitol before January 6th.
And as for the 1,500 at the southern border, sir, to clarify, what exactly do you want them to be doing right now?
Making sure that the border is safe and secure and that criminals don't come into our country.
Mr. President, do you think that sanctions on Russia will force President Putin to negotiate?
I don't know, but I think he should make a deal.
Mr. President, does it bother you that Elon Musk criticized a deal that you made publicly, that he said that he tweeted that?
No.
So this is about Elon Musk criticizing him with a deal for AI, and it doesn't look good for Elon. You know, Vivek's already out of Doge. If Elon Musk is already criticizing Trump, it doesn't look very good for him.
He hates one of the people in the deal.
Have you spoken to him since then?
No, I've spoken to Elon, but I've spoken to all of them, actually. No, the people in the deal are very, very smart people. But Elon, one of the people he happens to hate, but I have certain hatreds of people, too.
Sir,
You know?
sir, on China, what do you think Xi Jinping can do on the Ukraine-Russia war?
Which one?
The Ukraine-Russia war. What can Xi Jinping do about that?
China?
Yeah.
They have a lot of power over Russia. They supply energy to Russia.
Yes.
And Russia supplies energy to them. They supply other things to, you know, it's really a very big trade. It's a very big trading partner. But Russia supplies a lot of energy to China. China pays them a lot of money for that. And I think they have a lot of power over Russia. So I think Russia should want to make a deal. Maybe they want to make a deal. I think from what I hear, Putin would like to see me, and we'll meet as soon as we can. I'd meet immediately. Every day we don't meet, soldiers are being killed in a battlefield. And that battlefield is like no battlefield since World War II.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands.
And I have pictures that you don't want to see. Soldiers are being killed on a daily basis at numbers that we haven't seen in decades. And it would be nice to end that war. It's a ridiculous war.
You said that Ukraine's ready to make a deal. Did President Zelensky tell you that personally?
Yeah, sure. He's ready to negotiate a deal. He'd like to stop. He's
hopefully they can make a deal very soon.
Somebody that lost a lot of soldiers, and so did Russia. Lost a lot. Russia lost more soldiers. They lost.
So the U.S. taxpayers a lot of money
soldiers.
too.
Would you say that's a lot? I'd say it's a lot.
Mr. President, you said that you wanted to make Dr. King's dream a reality. What's your response to his children and civil rights leaders who say that your DEI orders are a contradiction of his dream and could further drive racial disparities?
Well, I haven't heard that.
Mr. President, you put the Houthis back on the terror list. How do you see the war in Yemen end?
Well, we'll see what happens, but they can't shoot down our ships, the Houthis.
Yes.
That's right. You can't shoot down our ships or any ships, and that's what they've been doing. So,
yeah, that's
and they're on the terror list. That's not good for them.
Interesting to see what Trump does there.
Revoke security protections for former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Brian Hook.
Well, the same reason when you have protection, you can't have it for the rest of your life. Do you want to have a large detail of people guarding people for the rest of their lives? I mean, there's risks to everything.
It's a shipping route.
So would you support striking Iran's nuclear facilities?
Say it.
Would you support Israel, for example, striking Iran's nuclear facilities?
Well, I'm
or
not
do you
going to
believe
answer
in
that.
diplomacy?
Obviously, I'm not going to answer that question. We'll have to see. I'm going to be meeting with various people over the next couple of days, and we'll see. But hopefully that can be worked out without having to worry about it. It would be nice. It would really be nice if that could be worked out without having to go that further step.
And who are you going to meet with?
Well, I'd rather not say that, but very high-level people. But hopefully that can be worked out. You know, look, Iran hopefully will make a deal, and if they don't make a deal, I guess that's okay too.
And Mr. President, just to follow up, you said you think the Fed should listen to you. Can you elaborate on why you think it should?
With regard to interest rates?
Correct, yes.
Because I think I know.
With the Houthis, with Yemen, the reason why they go through there, it has been safe in the past, is because it'll take a lot longer to ship products going all the way around, and it'll be a lot more expensive. That's why they want to secure that route.
Interest rates much better than they do. And I think I know it's certainly much better than the one who's primarily in charge of making that decision. But no, I'm guided by them very much. But if I disagree, I will let it be known.
So your tariffs plans for China and Mexico are much tougher, or the ones for Canada and Mexico are much tougher than the one for China. Why is it softer for China?
Well, China's already paying a lot of tariffs because of me.
Yeah.
And when you add them up, I would say, you know, they're paying a lot. They've paid hundreds of billions of dollars. They never paid 10 cents until I came along. When I came along, they've paid hundreds of billions of dollars.
Man,
never paid anything. And so they've already started at a higher base.
Is February 1st the date for Chinese tariffs as well, sir? February 1, or was that just Mexico and Canada?
It's Mexico and Canada, but we're talking about China too.
Wow, okay, February 1st for Mexico and Canada, the tariffs begin. Very, very interesting to see if companies hike their prices the exact same amount as the tariffs.
Look, China's sending us tremendous amounts of bad drugs, fentanyl, really bad stuff.
Yep.
Most of it comes through Mexico. And we're losing, I think, 300,000 lives a year because of that.
Insane.
People say 150, 100, 120. I think 300,000 lives a year. Those are old numbers. The lower number is a low number. And we can't have that. They've got to stop sending it. I had a deal with President Xi, but it was a deal that wasn't followed up by Biden, of course, where they were going to issue the death penalty to people that make fentanyl, and that would have stopped it. But we'll have to stop it with tariffs. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
That's the press conference. Now let's get into Trump absolutely shredding the World Economic Forum. We're going to go ahead and react to this live. I haven't watched this yet, but it looks very, very good. The World Economic Forum has seen a lot of political leaders like BRICS. A lot of them have been pulling out of the World Economic Forum. It's not very popular these days at all. A lot of people aren't happy with what they're doing with the globalist agenda. So let's go ahead and see exactly how Trump rips in and exposes the World Economic Forum to their face. So let's go ahead and play this here, everyone.
What great honor. What great honor and pleasure to welcome you back to the Davos.
Welcome, Donald Trump. This guy's literally a super evil villain that you'd see, a super villain you'd see in some movie.
Community. Just 4 days into your new mandate, we highly appreciate your presence with us today. We wish you all the best as you take on your critical work ahead. The global challenges
Let's
we
skip
face
him. Let's get into Trump.
Well, thank you very much, Klaus, and hello to everyone in beautiful Davos. This has
Welcome,
been
Tony.
a truly historic week in the United
Queenslander.
States. 3 days ago, I took the oath of office, and we began the golden age of America. The recent presidential election was won by millions of votes, and all seven, every one of them, all seven swing states. It was a massive mandate from the American people like hasn't been seen in many years, and some of the political pundits, even some of my so-called enemies, said it was the most consequential election victory in 129 years. That's quite nice. What the world has witnessed in the past 72 hours is nothing less than a revolution of common sense. Our country will soon be stronger, wealthier, and more united than ever before, and the entire planet will be more peaceful and prosperous as a result of this incredible momentum and what we're doing and going to do. My administration is acting with unprecedented speed to fix the disasters we've inherited from a totally inept group of people and to solve every single crisis facing our country. This begins with confronting the economic chaos caused by the failed policies of the last administration. Over the past 4 years, our government racked up $8 trillion in wasteful deficit spending and inflicted nation-wrecking energy restrictions, crippling regulations, and hidden taxes like never before. The result is the worst inflation crisis in modern history and sky-high interest rates for our citizens and even throughout the world. Food prices and the price of almost every other thing known to mankind went through the roof. President Biden totally lost control of what was going on in our country, but in particular with our high inflation economy and at our border. Because of these ruinous policies, total government spending this year is $1.5 trillion higher than was projected to occur when I left office just 4 years ago. Likewise, the cost of servicing the debt is more than 230% higher than was projected in 2020. The inflation rate we are inheriting remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity, in particular with immigration, crime, and inflation. On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and it's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto. My administration has also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history, far exceeding even the record-setting efforts of my last term. In total, the Biden administration imposed $50,000 in additional regulatory costs on the average American household over the last 4 years. I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family.
That's
and
good.
big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to
That's
strengthen
good.
our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA.
You bring back
Already
jobs on shore.
Americans' economic, you can see this, I think, maybe even in your wonderful, wonderful room that you're all gathered together, so many of my friends, but Americans, the economic confidence is soaring like we haven't seen in many, many decades, maybe not at all. Upon my election, it was just announced that small business optimism skyrocketed by 41 points in a single month. That's the highest ever. There's never been anything like that. SoftBank has announced between a $100 and $200 billion investment in the U.S. economy because of the election result. And just 2 days ago, Oracle, SoftBank, and OpenAI announced a $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure. Other companies likewise have announced billions and billions and billions, adding up to trillions of investment in America, in the United States. And it's also reported today in the papers that Saudi Arabia will be investing at least $600 billion in America, but I'll be asking the Crown Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around $1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've been very good to them. And I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Right now, the price is high enough that that war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price. You got to end that war. They should have done it long ago. They're very responsible, actually, to a certain extent, for what's taking place. Millions of lives are being lost. With oil prices going down, I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the world. Interest rates should follow us. All over, the progress that you're seeing is happening because of our historic victory in a recent presidential election, one that has become quite well known throughout the world. I think a lot of things are happening to a lot of countries. They say that there's light shining all over the world since the election, and even countries that we aren't particularly friendly with are happy because they understand what there is a future and how great the future will be. Under our leadership, America is back and open for business. And this week, I'm also taking swift action to stop the invasion at our southern border. They allowed people to come in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It was ridiculous. I decided and declared to do, and very, very importantly, a national emergency on our border, immediately halted all entry of illegal border crossers, of which there were many, and began promptly returning the illegal trespassers back to the place from which they came. That action, as you've probably seen, has already started very strongly. I've deployed active duty U.S. military and National Guard troops to the border to assist in repelling the invasion. It was really an invasion.
Yes, yes.
We will not allow our territory to be violated. After 4 long years, the United States is strong and sovereign and a beautiful nation once again. It's a strong, sovereign nation. In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly. With another historic executive order this week, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against the American people and, frankly, against politicians, and restored the fair, equal, and impartial rule of law. My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense, and these are policies that were absolute nonsense throughout the government and the private sector. With the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country.
Yeah, that's good.
You have to hear that word, merit-based country. and I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only two genders, male and female. And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely. Finally, as we restore common sense in America, we're moving quickly to bring back strength and peace and stability abroad. I'm also going to ask all NATO nations to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, which is what it should have been years ago. It was only at 2%, and most nations didn't pay until I came along. I insisted that they pay, and they did, because the United States was really paying the difference at that time, and it was unfair to the United States. But many, many things have been unfair for many years to the United States. Before even taking office, my team negotiated a ceasefire agreement in the Middle East, which wouldn't have happened without us, as I think most of the people in the room know. Earlier this week, the hostages began to return to their families. They are returning, and it's a beautiful sight, and they'll be coming in more and more. They started coming back on Sunday. Our efforts to secure a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine are now hopefully underway. It's so important to get that done. That is an absolute killing field. Millions of soldiers are being killed. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. They're laying dead all over the flat fields. It's a flat field farmland, and there's millions of Russians and millions of Ukrainians, and nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. It's time to end it. And here in America, we have big events coming up. Next year, we have the 250th anniversary of America's founding. I'm so honored to be president during that. That's been a big event. They've been talking huge. About it for 10 years. We also have the World Cup, and I understand Gianni's in the room. Infantino, he was very instrumental in helping us get it. He's there with you someplace, I think, and I want to thank him for that. And then we have the Olympics coming up, which I was instrumental in getting also in my first term, and who would have known that by skipping a term I would get the Olympics. I was upset. I said, you know, I got the Olympics to come and I won't be president, but it turned out through a stroke of luck, or whatever you might call it, that I'm going to be president during the World Cup and the Olympics and the 250th anniversary. So that's going to be three
Hopefully
big
no
events.
more demonic openings.
And we've accomplished more in less than 4 days.
At the
we
World-
have
at
really
the,
been working
Olympics.
4 days than other administrations have accomplished in 4 years. And we're just getting started. It's really an amazing thing to see, and the spirit and the light over our country has been incredible. Under the last administration, our nation has suffered greatly, but we're going to bring it back and make it greater, bigger, stronger, better than ever before. I want to thank everybody for being with you. I would have been there myself, except the inauguration was 2 days ago. I thought it might be a little bit quick to make it the first stop, but we'll get there one day. We hope to get there. But I do appreciate, I heard the audience is fantastic, and many of my friends are in the audience, and I will be taking questions now from some very distinguished people. Thank you all very much.
Okay, he's now going to be taking questions at the World Economic Forum. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. And also, it's just great to have a president that can actually speak again. Yeah, clap, clap, clap.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that very powerful speech. And I think you could hear the applause all the way from Davos to the White House. But next year it will be even better, because then you can get the applause here in Davos. So we wish you welcome to our village next year. We hope to see you.
Thank you very much.
So we also know, Mr. President, that you open up for interaction here. We have a great panel with some of the most distinguished business people in the world. Let me start with someone that you know really well, that I think is almost a neighbor of you in Florida. Mr. Steve Schwarzman, Chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Blackstone Group. So, Steve,
Blackstone,
floor is
okay.
yours.
Well, Mr. President, I'm sure the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia will be really glad you gave this speech today.
Wonder why he says that.
You've had the busiest 4 days that anybody can imagine, and congratulations for that. My question is about some of the things I've observed here at Davos. It's a terrific forum. I've met lots of people.
I don't know about that.
As usual. I think I've been here 30 years. And a lot of the European business people have expressed enormous frustration with the regulatory regime in the EU, and they attribute slower growth rates here because of the numerous factors, but especially because of regulations. And you've taken a completely different approach in this area. And if you could explain the theory of what you're doing, how you're going to do it, and what you expect the outcome to be, I'd appreciate it.
So that's the CEO of Blackstone. So we're talking of deregulation. He's probably like, and can you deregulate it so I can buy up some more real estate?
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations, Steve. You're a friend of mine, but on a great career. You have had an amazing career, and it continues. I just want to congratulate you. Very inspirational to a lot of people. I want to talk about the EU, because you mentioned specifically that I have also had a lot of friends and leaders of countries. I've gotten to know them all my first term and a little bit during this period of 4 years, and know them well, like them a lot. But they're very frustrated because of the time everything seems to take to get approved, environmental impact statements for things that you shouldn't even have to do that, and many, many other ways that it takes. And I'm going to give you a quick little example. In the private life, my beautiful private life, before I had all these things happening, the world is a little different. I had a nice, simple life. You knew that. Yeah. But when I had that simple life, I did projects, and I had a big project in Ireland, and it had to get approval on something that would have made it even better. And I got the approval from Ireland in a period of a week. And it was a very, very, very efficient, good approval. And they informed me, though, the problem is you're going to have to get it from the EU, and we think that'll take 5 to 6 years. And they said, you have to be kidding. And this was before politics. And I said, wait a minute, it's not that important. I don't want to go 5 or 6 years, but it would have been a big investment. It would have been nice, and it would have been good for the project. And I sent the people to the EU to see if they could speed it up, and basically it was a 5 or 6 year wait just to get a simple approval that Ireland gave me in a period of literally not much more than a week. And I realized right then, that was the first time I really was involved with the EU, but I realized right then that's a problem, and I didn't even bother applying to do it.
So I lost the investment.
Or if I did, I pulled it very quickly. I have to be very accurate, because I don't want to be criticized. You did apply, actually. No, I want to be very accurate. So I don't think I did, but if I did, I pulled it very quickly. It was just something you couldn't wait 5 years or 6 years to get an approval. So a lot of, in a very big business sense, a lot of people are claiming that's the problem. From the standpoint of America, the EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They have a large tax that we know about, and a VAT tax, and it's a very substantial one. They don't take our, essentially don't take our farm products, and they don't take our cars, yet they send cars to us by the millions. They put tariffs on things that we want to do, like, for instance, I think they actually, in terms of, these are non-economic or non-monetary tariffs, and those are very bad, and they make it very difficult to bring products into Europe, and yet they expect to be selling, and they do sell their products in the United States. So we have, hundreds of billions of dollars of deficits with the EU, and nobody's happy with it, and we're going to do something about it, but nobody's happy with it. So I think the EU has to speed up their process. Friends of mine that are in some of the nations within the EU, great people, they want to be able to compete better, and you can't compete when you can't go through the approval process fast. There's no reason why it can't go faster. So, you know, I'm trying to be constructive because I love Europe. I love the countries of Europe, but the process is a very cumbersome one, and they do treat the United States of America very, very unfairly with the VAT taxes and all of the other taxes they impose. One other, just to finish up, I got a call from the head of a major airline, one of the biggest airlines in the world, and he said, "Sir, could you help us? What? Landing in Europe is brutal. They charge us fees for everything, and it's so unfair." I said, "How does it compare to China?" He said, it's much worse. And the other thing, as you know, they took court cases with Apple, and they supposedly won a case that most people didn't think was much of a case. They won 15 or 16 billion from Apple. They won billions from Google. I think they're after Facebook for billions and billions. These are American companies, whether you like them or not. They're American companies, and they shouldn't be doing that. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a form of taxation. So we have some very big complaints with the EU. Thank you.
They also have a huge immigration crisis. Like I said, Europe's a beautiful, beautiful place, but it is literally being destroyed with overregulation and also immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We'll now go to one of your friends in the EU, Patrick Pouyanné. He's the chairman and CEO of Total Energies. I guess you have a question ready, Patrick, for the President.
Mr. President, as we understand, energy is at the top of your agenda, and it's an honor for me to represent the energy industry tonight. In this panel, Total Energies is indeed the fourth largest oil and gas and electricity company in the world. I will not ask you a question about the oil price. It's quite clear what you expect from us. I will more go to gas more. And our company is the largest #1 exporter LNG from the US company. We are a strong contributor to, and we invest in a mammoth LNG projects in Texas, $20 billion. It's far from 200, but it's $20 billion. And we contribute with that to security of supply to Europe, as we export this LNG to Europe. Some experts fear that if there are too many projects developed in the US on LNG, this could have an inflationary impact on the US domestic gas price. And they recommend a pause on these projects. I would ask you the following question: what are your views about such a pause on investments on LNG in the US? What would happen?
Did he just say increasing more production of gas will cause inflation and prices to go up? Did I hear that wrong? It'll literally do the opposite. More supply will bring the price down.
If you would observe an increased domestic gas price because of these exports. And final question, which is important for Europe, would you agree to guarantee security of supplies of US LNG to Europe?
Well, on the last part of your question, yes, I would. I would make sure that you get it. If we make a deal, we make a deal, you'll get it. Because a lot of people do have that problem. They make a deal and then it can't get supplied because of war-type problems and other problems. So we would absolutely do that. LNG is very interesting because when I took office for the first term, one of the first things I looked at was there were two very massive plants in Louisiana, a state that has been very good to me, won it by many, many points. And I felt strongly indebted to it, actually. And they said there are two plants that have been under environmental consideration for more than 10 years. And they were costing, as you say, you know how expensive those plants are, but they were costing like 12 billion and I think 14 or 15 billion, but they couldn't get their permits. They were in review for years, many, many years, like a decade or more. And I said, so ridiculous. I know so much about that because in the construction industry, I had to go through it too, but I got good at it after a while. But I saw the projects, and you're talking about
a total investment of 25 to $30 billion, and it looked like it was going to end. They couldn't get their permits, and I got them done in less than a week. It was done, completed. In fact, when they called them to announce that it was done, the countries, largely countries, Japan was involved and another country and some very big investors, they couldn't believe it. They actually couldn't believe it. And I said, just do yourself one favor. Don't pay any consultants, because the only one that got it done was me. I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S. and for the world, but the consultants had nothing to do with it. You know, the consultants go in and they say, give us millions of dollars because Trump did it. Nobody called me about it. I just heard it was a problem for years. And I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S. and the right thing to do for beyond. It had to do with energy, very important. So I think it's very important. I think I disagree with one. I think the more that you do, the lower the price is going to go. And what I'd like to see is rapid approvals. We're going to give very rapid approvals in the United States, like with the AI plants, talking to many people want to build them. That's going to be a very big thing. We're going to build electric generating facilities. They are going to build. I'm going to get them the approval. Under emergency declaration, I can get the approvals done myself without having to go through years of waiting. And the big problem is we need double the energy we currently have in the United States. Can you imagine? Wow. For AI to really be as big as we want to have it, because it's a very competitive, it'll be very competitive with China and others. So I'm going to give emergency declarations so that they can start building them almost immediately. And I think it was largely my idea because nobody thought this was possible. It wasn't that they were not smart, because they're the smartest. But I told them that what I want you to do is build your electric generating plant right next to your plant as a separate building connected. And they said, wow, you're kidding. And I said, no, I'm not kidding. You don't have to hook into the grid, which is old and, could be taken out. If it's taken out, they wouldn't have any way to get any electricity. So we are going to allow them to go on a very rapid basis to build their plant, build the electric generating plant. They can fuel it with anything they want, and they may have coal as a backup, good, clean coal, If there were a problem with a pipe coming in, as an example, you're going with gas, oil or gas, and a pipe gets blown up or for some reason doesn't work, there are some companies in the U.S. that have coal sitting right by the plant so that if there's an emergency, they can go to that short-term basis and use our very clean coal. So that's something else that a lot of people didn't even know about, but nothing can destroy coal, not the weather, not a bomb, nothing. It might make it a little smaller, might make it a little different shape, but coal is very strong as a backup. It's a great backup to have that facility, and it wouldn't cost much more money. And we have more coal than anybody. We also have more oil and gas than anybody. So we're going to make it so that the plants will have their own electric generating facilities attached right to their plant. They don't have to worry about a utility. They don't have to worry about anything. And we're going to get very rapid approvals.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President. We'll now go to another CEO that you know very well, Brian Moynihan, the CEO and chair of Bank of America.
Oh, okay. He's Bank of America. He did call out Bank of America for censoring or closing conservative bank accounts. So this will be very interesting.
Afternoon, Mr. President, and congratulations, and obviously an eventful week for you and your family. If you remember 5 years ago, you came here and we walked among 150 CEOs from all over the world, and you engaged with them about your policies and your procedures. This year you're not here, and yet this week was eventful from the orders that you mentioned earlier, literally a wave of orders coming out on immigration, on trade, and many other matters. And so as a representative of the United States here, we got a lot of questions about what does all this mean and how would the president square this with his clear focus on growth, prosperity, market growth, stock market growth, a good bond market, and bringing down prices. So how do you think about the impact of all these orders and how fast they come out, and how you're going to balance them with that scorecard of being successful in both continuing GDP growth, bringing down inflation, and also having a good stock price appreciation for the American citizen?
Well,
Or how much is banks' stocks going to go up?
I think it's going to actually bring down inflation. It's going to bring up jobs. We're going to have a lot of jobs. We're going to have a lot of companies moving in. You know, Brian, we're at 21%. It was at 40%, and I got it down to 21%, the corporate tax. And it was actually, if you look at state and city, it was in many cases much higher than 40%. I got it down to 21%. And now we're going to bring it down from 21 to 15% if, there's a big if you make your product in the U.S. So we're going to have the
That seems
lowest, just
fair.
about the lowest rate. It'll be, the 21 is on the low side worldwide. The 15 is about as low as it gets. And by far the lowest of a large country, a large, you know, rich, powerful country by far, not even a contest. So we're going to bring it down to 15% if you make your product in the USA. So that's going to create a tremendous
Good
buzz.
incentive.
We're also probably going back to the one-year deduction where we deduct, you know, we did that originally, and that was amazing what the impact that had, the one-year deduction, which built up over a period of time, and then it expires. But we're going to go back to that when we do the renewal of the Trump tax plan. We have to get Democrats to approve it. But, you know, if the Democrats didn't approve it, I don't know how they can survive with about a 45% tax increase, because that's what it would be. And so I think they're going to do. We've been working along with them pretty well. I think it's very hard for a political group to say, let's charge people 45% more. So I think we're in good shape. But we're actually doing a reduction for business and small businesses where you're going to bring it down to 15%, which is really something.
If they can bring the small business tax rate down to 15%, not tax overtime and not tax tips, that would be a big win for not just the big corporations, but really the little guy. They need to not just give tax cuts to the rich, but also to the middle class as well.
And by the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business, and I don't know if the regulators mandate.
He's ripping the Bank of America CEO in front of the entire world right now. Good on him.
That because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
Mr. President, I'll say that your friend Gianni said hello, told me to tell you hello, and we look forward to sponsoring the World Cup when it comes, both this summer for the club and next year. So thank you for getting that for the United States.
Thank you very much, Brian.
He didn't deny it. They were closing conservative bank accounts or businesses that had conservative views.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll now go to Anna Butin. She's the executive chairman of Banco Santander, one of the big European banks, and also in the U.S. So, Anna.
Mr. President, congratulations on a historic victory. I believe you don't know me as well as my fellow panelists, so a few words. Santander is one of the largest banks in the world by number of customers, 170 million. That's more than my friend Brian or my friend Jamie have. And those...
Those are rookie numbers.
That's coming, that's coming.
That was cheeky.
We're a big investor in the United States. We have many million customers, 12,000 employees. We're one of the largest auto lenders. And we recently launched a fully digital bank called Open Bank. We strongly believe banks have a pivotal role in the economy, and we can accelerate growth and help many more customers. That's what we're doing in the United States. So, as Brian pointed out, we very much welcome your focus on deregulation and reducing bureaucracy. So my question is, what are your priorities in this regard, and how fast is this going to happen? Thank you.
What do you guys think about digital banks? I don't like it at all. We're seeing Bank of America trying to go fully digital. And I think part of the cryptocurrency executive order, I think in there was making it so they couldn't make a central bank digital currency at the Federal Reserve.
Thank you very much.
I think it's going to, thank you and congratulations. I know very much about your bank, and you've done a fantastic job. Congratulations. We are going to move very quickly. We've moved very quickly. We've done things in the last 3 days that nobody thought were possible to do in years. and it's all taking effect. It's going to have a huge impact on the economy, a huge positive impact. Money was being wasted on crazy things. I mean, the Green New Deal was such a total disgrace. How that was perpetrated, and it was conceived of by people that were average students, less than average students, I might add, and never even took a course in energy or the environment. It was just a game. Remember, the world was going to end in 12 years. Remember that? Well, the 12 years has come and gone. It was going to end. It was going to all foam into earth. But you know, the time has come. These people, and they really scared the Democrats large. I can't say the Republicans. The Republicans maybe could have fought harder to stop it, but it's been a tremendous waste of money. You know, during my 4 years, we had the cleanest air, we had the cleanest water, and yet we had the most productive economy in the history of our country. We had the most productive economy until COVID came. We had the most productive in the history of our country by far, and actually, you could look worldwide. We were beating everybody from China to everybody else. So, and we think we really now, with what we have learned and all of the other things that have taken place, we think we can even far surpass that. Actually, far surpass it. But we do. One thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada. We have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. It's I don't know if it's good for them.
State.
As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. Then if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years, and it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So, you know, just as an example, with Mexico, we're dealing with Mexico, I think, very well. And we're just, you know, we just want to be treated fairly with other nations because there's hardly a nation in the world, and I blame this on us, and I blame it on politicians that, for some reason, probably mostly it's stupidity, but you could also say other reasons, but mostly stupidity. They've allowed other nations to take advantage of the U.S., and we can't allow that to happen anymore. You know, we have debt. It's a very small debt when you compare it to the value of the assets that we have, but we don't want to do that. We want to just have debt be obliterated, and we'll be able to do that fairly rapidly. And a lot of good things are going to happen. And honestly, good things are going to happen for the world, and good things are going to happen for the people that are dealing with us, allies and beyond allies. One thing very important, I really would like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And yes, that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else. It's from the standpoint of millions of lives are being wasted. Beautiful young people are being shot in the battlefield. You know, the bullet, very flat land, as I said, and the bullet goes, there's no hiding, and a bullet, the only thing going to stop the bullet is a human body. And you have to see, I've seen pictures of what's taken place. It's a carnage, and we really have to stop that war. That war is horrible. And I'm not talking economy, I'm not talking economics, I'm not talking about natural resource. I'm just talking about there's so many young people being killed in this war, and that's not including the people that have been killed as the cities are being, you know, knocked down building by building. So we really should get that stopped. Likewise, in the Middle East, I think we've made a lot of progress in the Middle East, and I think that's gonna come along pretty well. Thank you.
Okay, Keith saying if a digital currency, why have a local banks at all? It could all go through the Fed. Well, that's probably what they want. And if you don't go along with whatever agenda they have, you just lose access to your digital wallet. Apparently, XRP is flying. Yes, it's doing very well. Beast AI system is a go. Well, Stargate, yeah, that's literally what they called it, is a go. People's banking currencies would all be on their phone with no deposits. There would be no small loans for cars or houses or businesses. Yeah, so it would all be done through the Federal Reserve. They'd charge you an interest to borrow money. and you probably have a social credit score attached.
Thank you, Mr. President. We know that the most consequential relationship in the world is between the U.S. and China. U.S. 28% of the global economy, China close to 20. That's almost half of the global GDP. And we know that you called President Xi Jinping last Friday. We heard that you had a good discussion. How do you see the relationship between the U.S. and China in the next 4 years under your leadership?
Okay, China.
He called me, but I see it very good. I think that we're going to have a very good relationship. All we want is fairness. We just want a level playing field. We don't want to take advantage. We've been having massive deficits with China. Biden allowed it to get out of hand. He's $1.1 trillion deficit. It's ridiculous. And it's just an unfair relationship. And we have to make it just fair. We don't have to make it phenomenal. We have to make it a fair relationship. Right now, it's not a fair relationship. The deficit is massive, as it is with other countries, a lot of Asian countries, actually. But we have deficits that are very big, and we can't keep doing that, so we're not going to keep doing that. But I like President Xi very much. I've always liked him. We always had a very good relationship. It was very strained with COVID coming out of Wuhan.
I don't know about that. What do you guys think?
Obviously, that strained it. I'm sure it strained it with a lot of people, but that strained our relationship. But we always had a great relationship, I would say, and we look forward to doing very well with China and getting along with China. Hopefully, China can help us stop the war with, in particular, Russia, Ukraine, and they have a great deal of power over that situation. And we'll work with them. And I mentioned that during our phone conversation with President Xi. And hopefully we could work together and get that stopped. We'd like to see denuclearization. In fact, with President Putin, prior to an election result, which was frankly ridiculous, we were talking about denuclearization of our two countries, and China would have come along. China has a much smaller, right now, nuclear armament than us, or field than us, but they're going to be catching it at some point over the next 4 or 5 years. And I will tell you that President Putin really liked the idea of cutting way back on nuclear, and I think the rest of the world, we would have gotten them to follow, and China would have come along too. China also liked it. Tremendous amounts of money are being spent on nuclear, and the destructive capability is something that we don't even want to talk about today, because you don't want to hear it. It's too depressing. So we want to see if we can denuclearize, and I think that's very possible. Yes. And I can tell you that President Putin wanted to do it. He and I wanted to do it. We had a good conversation with China. They would have been involved, and that would have been an unbelievable thing for the planet.
Mr. President, when you're back here in Davos next year, will there be then a peace agreement with Ukraine and Russia by then?
Well, you're going to have to ask Russia. Ukraine is ready to make a deal. Just so you understand, this is a war that should have never started. If I were president, it would never have started. This is a war that should have never, ever been started. And it wasn't started during there was never even talk about it. I knew that it was the apple of President Putin's eye, but I also knew that there was no way he was going in, and he wasn't going to go in. And then when I was out, bad things happened, bad things were said, a lot of stupidity all around, and you end up with what you have. Now you have all these bombed out cities that look like demolition sites with many people killed. I think the thing that you'll see about Ukraine is that far more people have died than is being reported. And I've seen that. But far, far more people have died. When you look at a city that's become a demolition site where big buildings have been collapsed by missiles hitting them and everything else, and they say one person was slightly injured. No, many people were killed. Those are big buildings. I was surprised at how that was my business. These are buildings that go 2 and 3 blocks long. They're 20 stories high. They're big, powerful buildings, and they were knocked down, and there were a lot of people in those buildings, and announced that 2 people were injured. That's not true. So I think you're going to find that there were many more people killed in Ukraine in the Ukraine war than anybody has any idea. But if you look now, so many of the people being killed are soldiers just facing each other with guns, rifles, and drones, the new form of warfare, drones. And it's a very sad thing to see. And when you see pictures of the fields that I see, nobody wants to see it. You'll never be the same.
That's true. We need to end that
Thank you
war ASAP.
very much, Mr. President, on behalf of all the 3,000 participants here in Davos. We really underline that joining us the third day in your presidency, live taking questions here is so appreciated, and we are already ready for receiving you next year in person. So thank you very much. And
be interesting to see if he shows up. So welcome everybody that is just joining the live stream. In this live stream, where we went over where BlackRock CEO Larry Fink was confronted, he at the World Economic Forum by Rebel News. We went over the exclusive text of Biden, the letter that he left for Trump. So you can always play this back. And we went over all the executive orders, including this one here. So Trump signs executive order releasing additional JFK files. So this is going to be very interesting to see what comes out of this. So let's read this article here. So President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday releasing additional government files associated with the assassinations of former President John F. Kennedy, former Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, he also gave the pen to RFK, which was a nice touch. Now, Trump promised at his pre-inauguration rally in Washington on Jan the 19th that he would release the remaining records on the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and King in the coming days, and he actually delivered on his promise. So it's very refreshing having a president that actually delivers on his campaign promises and that can actually hold a conversation and actually answer the press's question. Unlike Biden, he would read a teleprompter and run away as soon as they'd ask him a question, or he'd go get some ice cream somewhere. So that's a big one, Trump said while signing the order at the Oval Office. A lot of people have been waiting for this for years, for decades, and everything will be revealed, he said when he signed this executive order. So the FBI accused Lee Harvey Oswald, a former U.S. Marine who had defected to the Soviet Union for a period after embracing Marxism, of assassinating JFK in 1963. Nightclub owner, I'll go ahead and highlight this so it's a bit easier for you guys to see. Nightclub owner Jack Ruby shot and killed Oswald as authorities were moving him from Dallas Police Headquarters to the country jail just 2 days after the assassination, stirring decades of speculation and conspiracy theories. So JFK's assassination coincided with a period of increasing mistrust in federal government, and many Americans still believe that Oswald was part of a larger plot to kill the president. Now, Gallup's most recent poll conducted in October 2023 found that 65% of US adults reject the theory that a lone gunman killed JFK. So what do you guys think? Type 1 if you think it was a lone killer, or 2 if you think it was the insider. Now, Trump and former President Joe Biden previously released thousands of documents related to JFK's death. Now, roughly 99% of assassination files have been released as of 2023, according to the National Archives. However, Biden had agreed to delay the disclosure of additional records, stating the necessity of protecting against identifiable harms to the military defense, intelligence operations, law enforcement, and conduct of foreign relations that are of such gravity that they would outweigh the public interest in disclosure. Well, they're probably waiting for, a few years for those politicians that were involved to die off. That's what they normally do. They'll wait 75 years so everyone that was involved has either passed away or is incapacitated. It's going to be very interesting to see what comes of this. So yeah, most people think it was an inside job. Okay, welcome everyone to just join the stream. Peter, Keith, Trillionaire, Also, just a quick update on the fires that I was reporting yesterday. There's now a new fire which has exploded to over 10,000 acres across North LA. We can see here on this map. So what the heck is going on in LA? There is multiple new fires being lit all over the state. So a new fast-moving wildfire erupted in Los Angeles County on Wednesday morning near Castaic Lake off Lake Hughes Road, just north of Castaic Reservoir Road. By 10:45 a.m., it had grown to 500 acres. By early afternoon, it scorched 3,400 acres, then exploded to 10,000 overnight with 14% containment. Now, this caused a lot of evacuations. I'll go ahead and play this clip here. So we can see here, 10,000 acres burned, 4,000 firefighters battling, 30,000 residents evacuated, one incompetent governor, Gavin Newsom. That's exactly right, everyone. So what's happening with all these fires that are just going up everywhere? Is this all part of the smart city, LA 2028? I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence, you know, because the air is so dry at the moment. But it is a fact that they have caught and released people that were starting fires. And this is just absolutely insane that there's still multiple fires starting across the state. So that's a quick clip there. Another clip here. More and more people being evacuated. Absolutely devastating. My thoughts and prayers go out to those that are battling these fires here. Great work that the firefighters are doing. Definitely a tough job. These guys are heroes. Wow, look at this fire. Luckily it is next to a lake. Well, I guess it's still not lucky. It's still very, very devastating, but they've got aerial support. Look at that going up the hill. This is insane, everyone. Look at these scenes. And it's still growing. Again, this is what's happening for those that are joining. Yeah. Okay, now also another headline. Woke globalist left is starting to crumble, Argentina's Milei says. So a global hegemony of left-wing ideology is starting to crumble, the firebrand president of Argentina, Javier Milei, told the World Economic Forum on Thursday. Now, Milei is a politician that sees himself in a similar vein to US President Donald Trump, and he had been forming alliances with other like-minded figures and leaders. Now, also breaking news, why I was doing this live stream, we also got this news that Bank of Japan is actually doing the opposite of what other central banks are doing, because we're seeing a foreign currency crisis. This is breaking news. They've just hiked their policy rate by 25 basis points to the highest since 2008. So while the rest of the world is cutting, Bank of Japan is doing the opposite because their currency has been plummeting. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the currencies here with some live currencies. We can see it's still falling 155, the Japanese yen to the US dollar. Aussie dollar bounced because Donald Trump is going to pressure the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. That will be good for other currencies. But we're seeing many currencies come under pressure right now. Let's have a look. Bitcoin's up with that crypto executive order, and gold is about $2,800. So that's the stream, everyone. You can go ahead and replay the stream for all the footage. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. You're all awesome. And I'll see you all in the next video.